Hi, I am Alex Hirsch, the creator of Gravity Falls.
Hey, I'm Mike Rianda. I was the creative director on the show.
And and here we get to see the level of Derlin's intelligence on full display.
We always loved having them be like little kid friends. They went to sleepovers together. They solved mazes together. They're just two innocent chaps.
It gradually evolved into more, but that wasn't our original intention. It was just like sleepover kids.
Yeah.
But sometimes romance blossoms. So Land Before Swine. This was an episode we were having a really hard time with a couple of episodes that weren't working for us. We had an episode we were working on that was a camping story where remember the camping episode where it was going to be. We just figured like it's a family in the Pacific Northwest. And we haven't done a camping episode. It seems like a no-brainer. And we try to figure out a story for these characters on a camping trip and a proper monster. There was going to be this sort of ghost hunter, like a headless horseman hunter who hunts humans.
Yeah.
And he's got a bunch of heads on his wall. And we got a bunch of notes back that it was too scary.
Yeah.
And also the story didn't really work.
Yeah.
It was like sort of Stan is trying to teach kids about roughing it. And the kids, they're not used to roughing it. They're used to modern conveniences. And it seemed like this sort of hacky, like old versus young that wasn't specific to our characters. And so, we got a few drafts in that episode and then we had to throw it out.
Yeah.
And we had another episode that was going to be a road trip episode.
Yeah.
About basically the family goes on a road trip and they get caught on this endless infinity road.
Yeah.
And they wind up in like this diner with all these people that have been trapped on this road throughout history.
Yeah,
and it's just sort of a Groundhog's Day kind of thing.
Yeah. And there's a ton of cool ideas in both, but they just didn't gel into like full 22-minute episodes.
Yeah, well, it's like each Gravity Falls episode. You need the character story and you need the satisfying monster. And in both of those, we had either a location or a monster, but the character stories never came together. And this was something where we were down to the wire, and it was like, okay, we just threw out 2 scripts. We need a story now.
Yeah.
And I remember me and Mike, we were working out back then, right? We were working out at the Disney gym.
No, this is just you, man.
Oh, really?
I don't think I was working. Oh, yeah, we were. We were doing P90X.
Yeah, Mike was trying to convince me to work out at the Disney gym because we were basically living. We were like Bert and Ernie at this point. Like we didn't see our friends. We had no social lives. It was just like every morning, like wake up in our office. Hi, Mike. Hi, Alex. Back to work. Hey, want to become workout buddies? Let's just cross every threshold and just morph into one. And I remember the reason I remember that is because the first time we worked out, I threw up.
Yeah.
But I remember I was in the shower. We had a writers meeting. I worked out, didn't have time to shower, went to a writers meeting, realized these stories were broken, went back, showered, and in the shower I came up with the broad contours of this episode because I remember the warm water hitting my face and being like, oh, I think that'll work.
Well, and that was like I remember that being a godsend because it was always like we always like took so long to break him, and then you pitched a story, and I was like, that just works. It just works.
It works.
we can just write this. We like dinosaurs. Great.
Well, this came from I had always, as a kid, I was obsessed with dinosaurs. I wanted to be an archaeologist. I remember when I was like in 3rd grade, I would dig in the sandlot hoping to find a dinosaur bone. And one day, I miraculously, but also like in an unsanitary manner, I found a giant slice of cow femur hidden. Oh. It was inside because I dug through the sandbox into the dirt underneath the sandbox, and I found a bone. And this was like I was probably like I don't know 7 or something. Like Jurassic Park was like probably on. I was like I found a dinosaur bone, right? And then like my mom was like, you found a cow bone. This is disgusting. Like
Your
animals
mom
have been chewing on
dream
this.
shatterer.
She should have just told me like,
Kasky.
That's
Let
a
him have
T-Rex.
a little magic in his life.
That's a T-Rex. But
Kasky's a great woman.
I was obsessed with dinosaurs. I was like, pterodactyls and plesiosaurs are probably my 2 favorite dinosaurs. I wanted to do a pterodactyl episode. And
this is Justin Roiland like going insane, and it was the best.
Bobby Renzabi is one of our writers, Rob Renzetti, one of our producers. We love Rob. He likes to bust our chops, so we bust his back. One of our storyboard artists. Eric Fountain had a phrase about Rob Renzetti, which is, "Hey, Renzett about it." And also, Bobby Renzabi was a nickname for Robert Renzetti, which became this idea for this infomercial guy.
Yeah, we were like slap happy in the editorial room, like Bobby Renzabi, and he's like, all right, guys, it's 10:30. Does this need another joke? And it's like, it's not funny enough yet.
Justin Roiland was great as Bobby Renzabi. Him screaming, "Feel your pig's heartbeat next to yours." That's a mic. I'm pretty sure you wrote that line, right? Feel pig's heartbeat next to yours.
Maybe.
That couldn't have been me. That has to be you.
Maybe. I like it works for. It's like when he was screaming, it works for pigs. It's like, can you scream the word pigs longer? And he's like, yes, I can.
I actually think that we might have done some of these. He was on Gravity Falls before he was on Adventure Time as Lemon Grab.
Yeah.
And before Rick and Morty. So it was like, I was like, he's ours. We know he can scream. No one else knows this. And then of course, you know,
you were on the Justin Roiland ground floor.
He's a huge star now. Yeah, that's a caricature of Alonzo in the background. That guy with the lips. One of our standard our star storyboard artists.
And well, one thing, this episode was great because it came together so easily. Like unlike some of the other ones, it was like a total joy to write, and especially because the stakes were so clear. It was like everyone loves Mabel, everyone loves Mabel's pig. So and one of the things we try to do in the episodes is like have these moments where you remind the audience like the value of these characters' relationships. So in the beginning of the episode, we see Seuss and Dipper having a good time together. So we remember like, oh, their friendship's important. And we see Mabel and Waddles having their dance party together, and it makes you like both see and feel in your heart how important these relationships are. So then when they're threatened later in the episode, you actually care about it. Like that's the number one thing about these episodes. Like, can you get an audience of uncaring, just bored, people flipping through the TV to actually care about these characters
to
and
become
these situations.
invested? Yeah, and I think there was this idea that I had, I think back to the beginning of the series when I first came up with it, that there's, from Jurassic Park, there's that idea of the mosquito and sap. And what if you could fit an entire dinosaur in sap? In a town like Gravity Falls, I believe there's entire dinosaurs in sap that could be thought out. And so I sort of thought out that whole idea for this. And then was like, can we make this a Mabel Stan episode? Can this idea about Mabel's relationship with Waddles actually reveal a rift between Mabel and Stan, where Mabel and Stan actually get along pretty well in the series? They're both such strong, stubborn personalities that when they conflict hard, like in Boss Mabel. Mm-hmm. But this idea that Waddles is sort of a metaphor for what Mabel loves, and Stan loves Mabel, but he doesn't really think that anything she thinks is necessarily smart or right. He loves her like, she's my sweet niece, but she doesn't know anything.
Yeah.
She doesn't know anything about a pig. And this, a lot of sitcom storytelling is based on lies or miscommunication. And what made this episode work was the lie. Mm-hmm. Was that he puts the pig out, it's his fault, he lies about it, and that gives us something to discover, so we have a second act break.
Yeah. And especially the lie was so beautifully rendered.
This line, tenderly nursing him with only the richest of creams, I would have cut it, but it always made you laugh. See, it made you laugh again. The richest of creams. It's just one of those things that's like not in the script, but I said in the room because it just seemed like Stan's laying it on thick, like, the sun was golden. The velvet touch of the pig's soft baby cheek. Creams, I don't know.
Hey, it's making me laugh right now.
The tattoo on Stan's back is the word lies in code. We didn't want to reveal what his actual tattoo was.
Oh,
so there's a fake tattoo there for eagle-eyed fans.
Uncle Stan, you tried to save him.
Nice acting on Stan where he looks through his pinky to see if his lie worked.
Yeah, is nice acting.
This is kind of a good tee-up for where we're going in season 3, is like Mabel's very trusting. She's willing to trust Stan. Or season 2, yeah. She's very trusting. She's willing to trust Stan.
No pterodactyl messes with my sister. We're going to go out there, catch him,
and we love it. It was also like, it was such a delight to get like the designs back and stuff and see the crazy, not the designs, but just the designs and the background and stuff, like the amazing paintings of the like T-Rex's caught in amber and stuff. It was like mind-blowing when we saw this stuff come back.
I got to give Josh Parpan, one of our background painters, he was sort of the master of all the T-Rexes underground. He did a great job.
Yeah, he's obsessed with Jurassic Park.
He is obsessed with Jurassic Park. Like, he talks about Jurassic Park daily. His first crush was Laura Dern. We're just talking about Josh Parpan right now. He's like one of our best artists. We're good friends.
Head there. Wow. Mabel, we've got to talk. This is a really high-stakes mission, and I'm a little worried about Seuss coming along on this one. I love the guy, but sometimes he messes stuff up.
What? Since when?
Sorry, dude. Sorry, dude.
Look, a fairy!
Oh, sorry, dude.
This sequence with Seuss splatting the fairy, I wasn't sure if it was too far.
And laughing about it in a jolly manner.
Seuss's intelligence was always something that was sort of on a sliding scale. He was as dumb as he needed to be for the episode. We felt like as long as he's really dumb, he also has to be really sweet. Like, the dumber he is, the sweeter he has to be for you to forgive that.
Yeah,
you know?
totally. Well, and that was the thing too, where he still couldn't be that dumb, because it's like, because you always want to let the audience in on the fact that you have respect for the characters.
Yeah. Oh, and we love Seuss. And honestly, I'm using dumb as a shorthand here.
Yeah, totally.
In my heart, I don't actually think of Seuss as being dumb.
Yeah.
Like, I think of Seuss as being somebody who sort of lives in a bit of a fantasy world, who has a passionate love for things, and the border between sort of reality and his imagination's a little foggy.
Yeah.
So it's like, it's less that he's an idiot and more that he's like hyper focused and invested in these strange, nerdy little things, which makes him not invested and focused in other things and screw up time to time.
Yeah. And there's a line later in the episode where Seuss is like, I'm kind of screw up, and I'm not always as charming as or it's not always as charming as I think it is. And it's like, which is a nice balance to show that, like, he's self-aware a little bit. Like, he's not a dummy. He knows what's going on.
A little bit of self-awareness, a kind heart, I think can forgive a lot. This idea, we're always searching for visual ways to set up story pieces, and this is something where we work backwards. The idea of the sweater that the pig is wearing, that just came from, we're following this pterodactyl into the forest, but we can't actually follow him. We need a trail. What if there's yarn? If there's yarn, there's a sweater. Like, we work backwards from those things to create, and I thought that was a really successful idea, that they're following the yarn to get there. These are some great BG paintings. I think Ellie Mihalka did that color on those. And McGucket, we brought McGucket along on this episode. Mainly, we'd already done a monster hunt. This is our second monster hunt. So our first monster hunt was Gobblewonker, and we felt like that episode maybe wasn't as strong as some of the others based on the fact that the stakes didn't feel super high. And so we wanted to ratchet up the stakes on this one, both personally and also believe that the danger was real. So we thought, well, what if we bring McGucket along, we can have the monster eat McGucket, and then we can genuinely make you scared for these characters.
Yeah. Because that's the thing that's hard in a kid show because like when you're watching it, you're like, what are they going to kill Mabel at the end of the episode?
Fine. Everyone's
going to be fine.
You have to create the illusion of stakes and suspense.
Yeah.
Stan's reaction to this place and his decision that he was going to call it Jurassic Saphole is very, very in character. Good idea, bad title, bad execution.
You put Waddles outside, then you lied to me about it. And now think
Kristen does a great job of grounding this performance.
Totally.
Like, Mabel really means it here. Like, she forgives a lot with Stan, but like Waddles sort of represents like the purity of her deepest love, and the idea that Stan would threaten that is genuinely a shock to Mabel.
I can't hear anyone. No one's talking to me.
Guys, don't fight. Why can't you be more like me and Dipper? Look,
This is
everything's gonna be cool.
Seuss unraveling this is probably his most unforgivable moment in this. This is the episode where I feel what Dipper feels, where I'm like, Seuss.
Yeah, totally.
But we felt like we needed it to ramp up their story and to raise the stakes of just how dangerous things were.
Yeah, because we found like even in B stories, if there wasn't some kind of emotional stakes, they would just be boring and wouldn't care. Yeah, unless you actually had the characters get to a point where they had real conflict with each other, it just felt like a waste of time. You're watching it and you're like, I don't care about this. And like the pterodactyl bros is like a visual symbol for their friendship, and Dipper's like rejecting it and stuff.
I got to give Tim McKeown credit. He was one of the other writers on this episode, and sort of Seuss's journey and the pterodactyl bros and how that fit together. I think a lot of those ideas came from him.
Yeah, Tim had a lot of great ideas in this one. And this is an episode where it was like one of your like I think I was filling in for Alex, and James Baxter, who was like one of the best animators alive, like Alex somehow conned him into into like doing animation for this episode.
Okay, that
like,
shot right there.
That shot, which is amazing.
And that shot right there, this shot here. So let me explain. So this entire act was storyboarded by Alonzo. We talk about him all the time because he's such an amazing artist. And we didn't know how this was all going to look. And Alonzo did some of the best storyboards I've seen in my entire life, before or since, for this episode. This
Annie Award winning.
Yes. And Emmy Award. And this scene where they're all hiding behind, like the way they're posing, they're acting, but in particular the way that Alonzo drew this pterodactyl. It felt real. It felt tactile. It thought like a bird. It was so good. And you know, when the animation first came back from overseas, there was so much subtlety in Alonzo's animation, and the first pass of animation, you know, the teams always do a good job, but it didn't have that reality to it anymore. And we were pretty disappointed when we saw the animation because, you know, Alonzo was doing feature quality storyboarding, and what we were getting was, you know, television quality animation, but we knew it could be stronger.
Done in a time crunch. And all that stuff.
And James Baxter, who, as Mike said, is literally one of the best animators in the world.
He's
he animated
amazing.
Simba in The Lion King,
Like
or
the
Mufasa,
Quasimodo and Hunchback of Notre Dame. There's all these like his brain is like a 3D camera. He can draw anything at any angle.
Yeah,
like
he's a living legend. And we knew him through some friends, and he was friends with Eric Fountain, who's one of our artists. And he did some animation for our theme song. And I basically begged him, can you reanimate a couple of the shots of this pterodactyl? Because, like, you know, it's feature quality storyboarding, and we want some feature quality animation. And he, being a fan of the show, he basically did it for cheap, you know, just because he also loves 2D animation, doesn't get to do it that much anymore.
Yeah.
You know, he's working at DreamWorks at the time doing a lot of CG animation, and here he is, somebody who's got a skill that no one else on Earth can do, and he rarely gets to use it, so he was actually excited for a chance to do it.
Yeah, and I was like super new to doing anything, and he did this like pass of the dinosaur, and all of the animation was beautiful, but I was like, oh, maybe it's not fast enough, and I was in this like horrible position of giving the best animator in the world notes,
Which feels insane.
Yeah, I was like, could it be a little faster? And he's like, I'm James Baxter. He didn't say that. He had an awesome attitude.
I got to call out that pose right there. This sequence also boarded by Alonzo, and that pose of Waddles turning his head around and looking at Stan, probably the cutest drawing in the whole series.
Yeah.
And I just saw someone get a tattoo of that drawing because it's so
It's the best.
cute.
It's adorable. It's something because sometimes the storyboards are so good you call out them to the overseas studio. Like, you trace this drawing.
Yeah.
Use this exact
and
drawing.
I'm glad that they traced it. This is I think we were talking in another episode just about how we have a lot of episodes where Stan starts out as a jerk and then reveals his heart of gold, and it always works. Like, to me, this is a very emotionally satisfying turn. Like, that Stan has gone from being a total coward, James Baxter again, to literally fighting this monster for Mabel. It just makes me love Stan. Like, to me, this is one of his sweetest, best moments in the whole series.
I love that he gets re-swallowed. Well, and this is like, you know, I feel like on these commentary tracks we've been like, oh, this was hard and this was hard. But this was one of those really rewarding ones because I feel like we took this structure that we were trying to get at in Gobblewonker and we did a like way better job of it. And like all the elements of the series were like coming on all fours. Like, the boarding was great, the animation is great, you know, the writing got a lot better.
When we understand these characters more, we're more invested in them. And so, you know, Stan fishing is nice, but Stan saving Waddles is so much nicer. This was a scene that in script I didn't know if it would work, and Alonzo figured it out. Like, he figured out a visual way to show that this creature can't see. And I think Eric Fountain boarded this little part here.
And I think this was like Tim's idea or Eric's idea or something. It was like an idea that sounded crazy.
But it worked.
Yeah.
It looks super cool, and Seuss gets to be a hero as well. Speaking of James Baxter, who did so much of this great animation, if any Adventure Time fans are listening, Penn Ward, also a friend and fan of James, loved James's animation so much that he created an episode and a character called James Baxter the horse. He's now a reoccurring character, a horse on a beach ball, just saying James Baxter, and that's James's voice, and James animated it. Like, both of us created things in our shows as an excuse to work with him, and to hope that he would work with us.
Oh, yes! Oh, Mr. Barnes, you're okay!
And this, like, I love the like little
him making Waddles wave, stuff
Yeah.
like that. That's not in the script. Like that's the
Yeah.
storyboard artist bringing these characters to life, making them sweeter and more lovable than we could imagine.
Yeah, and like something
That's a
about
James shot.
Yeah, it's incredible. Hey James, I got a couple notes. Just kidding.
That's a James shot. Like when you frame by frame it and every single drawing is beautiful, that's how you know it's
yeah,
James.
Totally. He's incredible.
We're trapped.
And even just those back, the background team is really humming too. Just some of these backgrounds are really incredible.
This idea, we knew Seuss needed to yell some dramatic thing here, and for 99% of the episode, he used to yell, "Insert dramatic line here," because we didn't like the Bros Before Dinos thing was added at the last second for a setup and a payoff.
Yeah, that's like one of those things where you've got like 10 minutes left, and we're like, Bros Before Dinos. Maybe it's hey, it's Dino time.
Hey, it's Dino
Jurassic
time.
Wow.
Stan in the coffin there. That's another like drawing ad lib by our artist Alonzo. And so many people thought that was some big foreshadowing about Stan's death, and there was all these theories that we had some big plan about killing Stan. It was literally just Alonzo being like, "I thought it would be interesting there in the church. What if he had a near-death experience?"
I love how horrifying the voice acting is here. it's like, are they gonna die?
We try to when we have sweet moments, we do try to button them with a joke so it doesn't start to get too corny. And this dinosaur tooth, if you note, watch the first episode of season 2. That tooth is now hanging on a thread above Dipper's bed, and we like the idea that they kept souvenirs from most of their adventures. There's always something they're taking away with them. We also. We liked McGucket enough that we didn't want him to be actually dead. We had no idea what we were going to do with him in season 2 yet, but we had to bring him back. I don't think I came up with the line, "I ate my way through a dinosaur." I think that was definitely a pitch from somebody else, and I was a little on the fence about it. But then as soon as I read it, I was like, nah, I got to keep it. That's funny.
The spoons helped.
I ate my way through a dinosaur. Bobby Renzabi there, pitching pants. Oh, your arms get what was it? Arm pants? Do your arms get jealous of your legs?
yeah.
Then you need arm pants. The pants for your arms. This is if you can't think of something funny, think of something stupid.